Sometimes for a team that's trying to make a Super Bowl run, all they need is one last piece, one last player to be able to make it all the way there. Well, as the Detroit Lions get set for their run in 2024, they have one potential player in their sights that could just be that final piece. And we're going to talk about it in this episode, folks. So stay tuned.
What are we? What makes us what we are? And what we're going to be? It's grit. It's what we started with last year, guys. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and three toes. I will beat your ass.
Can definitely compete with the big dogs.
10-5 end zone touchdown Detroit Lions.
You guys are unbelievable, man. I'm telling you.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions fans, and welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike, and as always, we're diving on in. So, here's the thing, folks. Obviously, today, there was another training camp practice, but today's training camp practice was a light day at training camp. There really wasn't a whole lot going on. It was kind of more like a mental walk-through, jog-through practice. It was more about kind of, scaling back things a little bit, kind of refining stuff, kind of going through and kind of like getting the nitty-gritty stuff kind of taken care of. Not really a whole lot was actually going on at practice as far as reporting was concerned. So I decided, you know what? Let's talk about something else here, because this is a conversation topic that ever since, John Kaminsky got injured has definitely ticked up, but it's been a conversation that's been going on for quite a while now. And that is what is known as the Matt Judon trade rumors. Now, I'm going to say this. I have heard about these trade rumors for quite a bit now. And for the most part, I have decided not to say much of anything on them. I know about them, I've heard them, and it's been an interesting topic. But for the most part, I've decided to refrain from talking about it. But I felt that now, based upon the circumstances that the team finds itself in, based upon where we're at going into training camp, obviously, and, preseason right around the corner, and then the regular season soon after that, I was like, okay, this, I think, would be a pretty good time to actually talk about this and actually give my perspective on it. And that's where we're going to start this episode here. So, let's understand something here, first and foremost. As we all know, the Lions are going for a Super Bowl this year. That is their aspiration, that is their dream, that is their goal. That is what everybody in camp is thinking about. Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl. That's all they've got on their mind. Nothing else, nothing short of that will be sufficient. Now, when you're making a Super Bowl run, like I've said before, you need to have damn near everything go your way. There can be very little wiggle room, if you realistically want to call it, to where things can go your way and you still make a Super Bowl bid and even win a Super Bowl. Like, Super Bowl teams have to have a lot of things go their way in order to get to and win a Super Bowl. Now, when we're talking about the Detroit Lions, for the most part, things have gone pretty well their way so far. They've been able to build a very talented roster. It's a very deep roster, both offensively and defensively. It's probably one of the most talented rosters in the NFL. I would say easily top 5, top 3. So this Lions roster, it is set talent-wise to make a Super Bowl run. However, though, with that being said, that does not mean that the Lions roster does not have holes in it, or it does not necessarily have weaknesses in it. And one area that has been particularly heightened, talked about to ends of the earth to death, has been the lack of an apparent edge rusher opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. Ever since the offseason, this has been freaking gone over freaking like a dead horse. It is just talked about incessantly. Well, unfortunately, those clamorings for getting another edge rusher have only gotten louder since the John Kaminsky injury that happened a day or so ago, where it was found that he had tore his MCL in his knee. And pretty much, he is now done for the season. The only potential return option that he may have is if he can come back for the playoffs. But for the regular season, he's done. He's not going to be able to play. So now it's like, okay, John Kaminsky. We know what John Kaminsky does for our ball club. He is a very integral part of our defensive line rotation. He is a good defensive end. He definitely is considered one of our hardest workers, and he's a very popular, fan favorite here in Detroit. There's a reason why we call him the Commish. However, though, his injury puts more pressure on either Marcus Davenport, freaking Matthew Betts, or James Houston to step up. One of those three is going to have to step up to take over his apparent loss. Now, the problem is that while there are options, a lot of people are going to be like, do I really trust those options? That's where the main conundrum starts coming in here, because let's take a look at all three of these guys. Marcus Davenport. He's the veteran option. He clearly has the skills, he clearly has the ability to play, and he is still a very disruptive force when it comes to the edge rushing position. However, though, there is a huge caveat to that. It's only when he is healthy, and that's the problem. He has seldom been ever fully healthy in his career. He has seldom, if ever, played a full season in his career without having injury problems. And that in and of itself is the massive issue with Marcus Davenport. It's like, listen, we know he has the talent. We know he can play. But we cannot, what's the saying? We can't put all our chickens into one basket or all of our eggs into one basket because of just that. The problem is that since he can't stay healthy, that is not a very good position to be in. So it's like, okay, he's got the talent, but he can't stay healthy. Then you talk about James Houston. James Houston is a guy that 2 years ago, he came on and he was a fan favorite very instantaneously. He got 8 sacks in like 8 games. He was a very, very popular, very powerful force to be reckoned with off of the edge because of what he could do, because of his flexibility, his ability to get low, his ability to come off the edge with a lot of speed. The problem is that when we started last year, he had his ankle hurt to where he couldn't play the majority of the year, was able to come back for a little bit in the playoffs, but now it's like, okay, this guy is an effective pass rusher, but there are questions about him. The first main question is he going to be able to stay fully healthy, number one, because he's coming off of a massive injury. But also number two is, can he play more than just a pass rushing specialist? One of the biggest questions around James Houston has been whether or not he has the size to be a full-time, edge rusher, or if he can be more than just a pass rush specialist, because you need to be more than just that. Then when we take a look at Betts, we know he can play the defensive end role well. He did it in the CFL. And as far as we know, he doesn't really have any existing injury concerns. Plus, he's a strong pass rusher. I mean, for crying out loud, when you lead the CFL in sacks in a season, you're definitely going to have that quality. The problem is, how do I put this? The Lions are wanting more out of their edge rushers than just being able to play the defensive end edge rusher role. They also want them to kind of play a little bit in linebacker roles. They want them to be able to drop into coverage, be able to play that role a little bit, and it seems like that right now Matthew Betts is having a little bit of a hard time trying to take all of that in. And it's another problem that James Houston is having. So it's like, okay, all three of the guys that we have as options have something about them that does not particularly bode well for what we're trying to look forward to going into the season. Now enter in Matt Judon. A lot of Lions fans, and I mean a lot of Lions fans, have been clamoring, hoping, praying, begging damn near that freaking Brad Holmes would pull the trigger on getting Matt Judon from the New England Patriots. Now what about Matt Judon? Matt Judon, very, very capable player. Very good edge rusher. This is a guy that knows how to play the edge rushing role very well. Plus, on top of that, he has the ability to play the outside linebacker role, which is what the Lions are wanting their edge rushers to kind of do a little bit as well. So in terms of what the Lions are wanting, he definitely fits in being able to fill that spot, to be able to fill that, role. Plus, on top of that, Judon has veteran experience, which would be a very welcome, point, since our defense is very young. Yes, we do have some veteran options that are a little bit up there in years, but let's call it for what it is. Matt Judon would easily become the oldest player on our defense. It wouldn't even be a question, because I think the next oldest player after him would probably be Alex Anzalone. If I'm wrong, somebody let me know, but it's like, dude, Matt Judon's 31 years old. He's going to be 32 here pretty shortly, so it'd be like, his veteran experience would be a wealth of knowledge for this young defense. And on top of that, we have to understand something here. Matt Judon has played on both the Patriots and the Ravens. These are two pretty big, prestigious ball clubs, especially over the last 20 years. So his ability to play with those teams, he would be able to not only bring his experience, but his talent to help the Lions' Super Bowl aspirations. Plus, on top of that, this was something I didn't know, but he also comes from Michigan. He was born here in Michigan. So that's kind of an added bonus, albeit kind of an irrelevant one. Now, when we take a look at Matt Judon, his production over the last couple of years has been absolutely stellar. In 2021 and 2022, he posted 12.5 and 15.5 sacks respectively. That's 28 sacks in 2 years. I can tell you this right now. Lions fans would love to have that kind of production from a player of Matt Judon's caliber. Plus, on top of that, from 2019 to 2022, he had 4 straight Pro Bowl appearances and was able to garner 120 combined tackles between 2021 and 2022. So quite plainly obvious, he has the ability to play and play at a very high level. Now, in 2023, he got injured. He had a tore bicep. That ended his season. So again, he would be coming into this situation coming off of a pretty big injury. There would be questions about his health, but overall, this is a guy that's shown in the 2 years prior to that and throughout his career, he has the ability to play at a very high level. He is still considered a deadly threat off of the edge and someone who would instantaneously make the Lions defense much more of a Super Bowl caliber defense overnight. So that brings us to the question here. Should the Lions trade for Matt Judon? Is it something they should do, especially in light of the situation that just happened with John Kaminsky getting injured, and with all the other things that I took painstakingly good care to try and explain? I'm going to answer that question. No. I do not think the Lions should trade for Matt Judon, and here are the reasons why. First reason why I do not think the Lions should trade for Matt Judon, I already kind of hit on it. His age. He is 31 years old, folks, and he is coming off of a tore bicep. He's about to be 32 years old. Okay, let's understand something here. The older you get, the harder it is to come back from big injuries like that. And let's understand something here. While I did make highlight of the fact that in 2021 and 2022, he had a very successful 2 sets of seasons producing those sacks, if you take a look at the rest of his career, he's not really had that same kind of production. So it's like, okay, you have to ask yourself the question here. How much more does he really have in the tank as an edge rusher? How much more could you realistically get out of him? So that's the first reason why I don't think it would be a problem. There's the injury that he's coming off of, plus there's the age. The second reason that I think the Lions should not trade for Matthew Judon is this. There's the attitude problem that's now started to pop out. I'm going to say this right now. I understand when a player wants to get paid. I understand when a player feels like they should get more money. When they feel like that, hey, I have earned a contract extension or I've earned more money from the contract I already have. I get that. That's part of the lifestyle of being a player. But where I have a problem with how Judon has handled it is that he has made his contract spat, he has made his issue with the Patriots front office a very public one. Let's understand something here. How the Lions have handled their contracts this offseason, whether it's been Taylor Decker, whether it's been Penei Sewell, whether it's been Amon-Ra St. Brown, whether it's been Jared Goff, it has not been a public spectacle. It has not been a public affair. They have handled it in-house, they have handled it quietly, they have handled it professionally. They have not let the media take the news and pretty much run wildfire with it. That is not the case with Matt Judon. He has made it very publicly known that he is not happy with his contract, and then we have heard reports that just either it was yesterday or the day before yesterday that he had a public spat, a very vocal, very heated public spat with his brand new head coach, Gerard Mayo. Okay, that right there is a huge, massive, absolutely colossal red flag. We have to understand how Dan Campbell handles things. We have to understand how Brad Holmes, how this team handles things. They are not going to handle stuff out on the practice field where there's all these prying eyes and cameras that are going to see this crap. What did Dan Campbell literally just say a couple of days ago when they were talking about Taylor Decker's contract extension? He literally said, hey, if you got something you got to talk to me about, come up to my office and we'll talk man to man. That is how you handle that situation. The fact that Matt Judon decided to go out on the practice field and chew out his coach about that, massive red flag. That right there is a direct violation, a direct contradiction of how the Lions culture has been built. Their culture has been built upon hard work, integrity, grit, and especially respect. You respect your teammates, you respect your coaches, you respect the process. What Matt Judon just did there, that is a huge, huge violation, a huge contradiction to all of those things. That is a definite no-go. So that's problem number 2 that I have with this situation. Problem number 3 here. I'm just going to say this right now, but there's also the contract issue. Yes, I understand that Matt Judon has 1 year left on his contract. Okay, you could, in theory, bring him in as a 1-year rental, just so that way, like I said, you could add more firepower to this defense, so that way you increase your Super Bowl chances. I get that. But then you have to ask yourself this question. What do you do at the end of the offseason? What do you do when it's time to start talking about giving him a contract again? And better yet, let's think about this. Like I just said with the previous point, he wants a new contract right now. Do you honestly think the Lions are going to be able to trade for him without there being an understanding that he's going to have to get a new contract as soon as they trade for him? There's no chance in hell. Matt Judon is not going to go from the Patriots to just go to the Lions and play on the contract he has right now. He's going to want to get paid regardless. So it's like, you're not going to be able to make that work. You're still going to have to pay him. And it's like, okay, here, that would be one thing, but we still have Ali McNeil to pay. We still have Aiden Hutchinson to pay. We have Frank Ragnow, who's going to have to get paid here again pretty soon. We also have, all these other rookies that we've drafted. And it's like, dude, we've got all these other mouths to feed. And it's like, listen, while Brad Holmes has done an absolutely spectacular, wonderful job managing the cap space, money only goes so far. You cannot pay everybody. So when I take a look at the situation for what it is, would Matt Judon, from a talent perspective, help out the Lions' Super Bowl aspirations? Absolutely. 100% I believe he would. But the problem is I do not see him as a fit here culturally. I do not see him as a fit here in the sense of the fact that, okay, you're coming in as 31 years old, nearly 32, you have an expiring contract, you've already stated you want a new contract, you've gotten into a very public, heated spat with your current head coach. That's not going to fly here in Detroit. That's not going to work. So for me, it's like, listen, is it a nice idea? Absolutely, it's a nice idea. But the way I look at it is, I'm sorry, it just doesn't mesh. It doesn't work. And again, I am the kind of person where it's like, listen, I am not going to try and force a square peg into a round hole. It's just not going to happen. I get it. Matt Judon is a very attractive idea. He is a very tantalizing idea to bring to this defense. But I guarantee you this, the fact that the Matt Judon concept has been out there for a while now, Brad Holmes has got this stuff under wraps and understanding of it much sooner than we do. I guarantee you he's looked at the situation. I guarantee you he's talked to Dan Campbell about the situation. The fact that there's been no conversation, or the fact that we haven't really heard anything about the Lions actually being really all that interested, it's been more just like rumored, or it's been put out there as a possibility, tells me this. The Lions have probably already looked at the situation. They're like, nah, we're not interested. We're not going to bite. And I guarantee you this, part of the reason why they're not biting is because they are trusting their process and they believe in the players that they have, regardless of what some fans may or may not agree with. That's my whole point here. Again, I like Matt Judon's talent. I think he'd be an excellent addition for our defense from a talent perspective. I just don't think he's going to work from the cultural perspective, and I think he's more interested in money than he is in actually winning a Super Bowl. But that's just my perspective. You guys will obviously let me know whether you agree or don't. Again, all I ask is you keep it respectful. But having said that, I'm going to end the episode and say thank you all for watching yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage y'all to watch the next episode and watch any previous content I pushed out. Also want to encourage y'all please to subscribe. Again, the more we get people to subscribe, the better it helps out the channel, and I'm thankful for every subscription I can get my hands on. Also want to encourage y'all please to do this. If you subscribed in the past and you forgot to do this at the time, or you just subscribed and not had a chance to do so, again, want to highly encourage y'all please to hit that notification bell icon as well, so that way you guys never miss any more content that I push out. That way, you know, hey, as soon as I push something out, you guys can come right back in. You never have to worry about missing anything. Want to encourage you also, finally, to make sure you share this content with your Lions friends and family members. Share it here on YouTube, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it anywhere and everywhere you can with everybody and anybody that you can. The more we can share it, the greater the channel grows, the greater the channel has a reach, the greater we can spread it around so that way more people can join. And with that being said, I hope everybody has had a great day. I hope you all have had a great July, as today is the last day of July. I hope you all have got something in your life that makes you happy, makes you smile. I hope you all enjoyed the content. God bless, and until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.